Yes.
Just so you don't run into fall.
Sure. No problem. Yeah, if you just let me know if you have to go, and I'll notice that you're logged on, and I'll announce.
Yeah, that's what I said. We're turning.
Oh, I'm on call too, though. I used to be as a nurse, but I haven't worked as a nurse in years.
I wouldn't be, usually I don't really worry about it because nothing's going on. If everything's going on,
Yeah. Especially in your county.
exactly. My county is not the county you want to be on call with.
I'm not on it.
Too much stuff going on.
Is that's probably it with the password there?
How you doing?
Thank you.
Did you get those? I can take that from you.
I've signed them already. Thank you, ma'am.
I turned the heat down. It's getting a little bit hot in here.
Yeah, it's a little toasty.
Yeah. So hopefully that.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you need a drink before we get started? Alrighty. And I think we are tied. I think so. Call to order this meeting of the Monument Board of Trustees on this, the 2nd of January, 2018. Happy New Year, everyone. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Hogan, would you take roll, please?
Mayor Kaiser?
Here.
Trustee Bornstein?
Yes.
Trustee Goodman, noted absent. Trustee Elliott?
Here.
Trustee Medlicott?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Here.
All right. Before us, we have a consent agenda. Are there any comments, questions? And if not, do we have a motion?
I just have a question. Are we expecting any more invoices from Stonebrook Roofing? Stonebrook Roofing, Inc., Rocky Mountain District?
Are we accepting more invoices?
Are we expecting more?
Expecting more.
Perfect, we're on budget. Just wanted to ask.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Hogan, would you take roll, please?
Trustee Bornstein?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Medlicott?
Yes.
Trustee Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Kaiser?
Yes, that motion passes 6-0. First up on our agenda, we have presentations. Mr. Thomas Martinez, would you like to come forward?
That's a terrible sweatshirt.
Sorry, I'm really sorry.
I'm Tom Martinez.
Maybe next year.
It will be next year, not maybe. So I want to first thank the board for allowing us to do this project on 2nd Street and Front Street. It did come in within budget, close for being on schedule, but we did miss it by a couple days, unfortunately. But all in all, it was a great project. You can see up there, that's the condition, the existing conditions of the bump and the existing ped ramps and the ADA ped ramps. So that's what we started with. And then the existing south end, we have that RCP 24-inch piece of RCP that was the actual drainage that was across from the park. So that was one big improvement also, is to make a safety improvement for the park, also for the storm sewer runoff. We had the water line, fire hydrant, and the gas main that we had to relocate to get out of the way to allow us to do the project. The first two pictures on the left is a reverse anchor. So basically we cut off the existing water line and we tie onto the new water line right there. So we do some reverse anchors to hold it in place and whatnot. This was kind of unique. We had the blue pipe is scheduled 900 PVC. We had some black pipe that's ductile iron, and then also some cast iron pipe that we dealt with. So it's kind of funny, we got 3 different pipes in a small intersection like that. Just amazing, just amazing. And then on the top right, you can see that we have the high pressure steel gas main that was right in the way. And the top one is the existing, and the bottom was the lowering of it. And then more water line basically, and then the bottom left in that yellow picture right here, that's a really cool little fitting that they call an alpha widespread compression fitting. So basically it doesn't matter if you have plastic pipe, cast iron pipe, ductile iron pipe, it's a fitting that you can allow to connect any pipe to any special pipe basically. And then on the bottom right hand side you can see that we were extremely close to the sewer line, so anytime you get within 10 feet of a sewer line you need to encase one or the other line, so for preventions. So the plans originally showed us excavating over to the sewer line. I wish I had a little pointer, but you can see the manhole right here is the sewer line. So the plan originally showed us excavating over to that. It's like, whoa, time out, why do we want to do that? Let's just encase the water line. Can't catch everything on the plans obviously, but we try to do the best we can. The one on top is the new location for the fire hydrant. So we had to relocate the fire hydrant also. So once we got everything, all the existing utilities out of the way, we started on the storm sewer installation. We're using some HDP pipe, 24-inch in diameter. Due to the situation that we had, I could not use RCP, reinforced concrete pipe. Obviously, that's the best pipe out there. We could not use it due to the elevations of the clearance of the gas line, water lines, and all of that. So we went ahead and went with the HDP pipe. The bottom left is the brand new inlet that we installed. Let's go back one. Well, maybe not. Let's go forward. So once we got some of the storm sewer going in at the south end of the project, we worked well, everything went really well, but then when we got closer to the intersection, we had to encase it in what they call flow fill for structural strength. Right now, without us being able to use RCP, we had to go with the plastic pipe, so we went ahead and made it stronger by putting a foot of flow fill underneath the pipe. So that's what we did on the right hand side. And then we went ahead and installed the type C inlet. And then we worked our way to the north. And then once we got to the intersection, I apologize, I think I went too far. Once we got up to the intersection, we on the top left, you can see we put the flow fill on the bottom of the pipe. We installed the pipe, and then that HDP pipe is so light that any of us can actually pick it up and move it or whatever. So the problem that we had is we had to install some weight on top of the pipe to hold it in place. If not, it would have moved on us. And then you can see we didn't have much success with the 3 pieces on top. We ended up adding 2 more pieces of concrete blocks and more pipe just to hold it in place to allow us for the right elevations and whatnot. We started it, we thought that was going to be good. The next thing you know, if the pipe's moving, time to shut down, guys. We got to do something different. So we added more weight to hold the pipe in place. Whoop. So then we came across the road, flow fill across the whole top, around the whole pipe, structurally sound, so that went really well. We got all the shoring and false work out of the way. Then on the right hand side, we started excavating for our precast inlet. At the beginning of the presentation, I said we were somewhat on schedule. If we all remember, back in August, we had a solar eclipse. So CDOT said, guess what? All heavy load restrictions are in effect starting Friday. So we were restricted. We wanted a darn precast inlet on Friday. Couldn't get it on Friday. Couldn't work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, obviously Monday and Tuesday. Finally, they allowed us to get back on the highway on Wednesday. So we would have been perfectly on schedule, but unfortunately, Mother Nature stepped in. So we went ahead and excavated on the right-hand side for the precast inlet. Back in 1800, they put a bank in the corner right where the Mexican restaurant is. I don't know if we all knew that, but there was a bank back in the 1800s. We found the footing of that bank. You can't really see it in here when we were excavating it, but on the next pictures, I'm pretty sure you can see it. So you can see the outline of the stones up in there, and you can really see it over there. So we actually dug up the footer of the bank to install the new pipe. Whoop. So then, this was the big inlet that we was waiting to bring down from Denver that they precast. So we finally got it down on site, got it in place, got the 2 pipes in place. The bottom right-hand corner, if we all know, there's a little white house that sits there in the corner, and we had a water service that went to that house. So when we first started the project, it's like, how are we going to maintain water to that house at all times? We came to a concern that we're not going to be able to do that. So the contractor came in, and it was a contractor out of Rocky Ford, of all places, and it's called Habitat Construction. Outstanding guys. I mean, they were really outstanding. A lot of times when you get the lower bid, you always are worried. I mean, it never fails. But these guys were outstanding. I mean, I highly recommend them. I would give them a letter any day. The guy with the brown hard hat, his name was Ron. He was in charge. But anyways, there's a house that's set in the corner, and the plans showed them being out of water for a month. How in the hell are we going to do that? So instead of putting the 3 valves in the middle of the intersection like we're supposed to, the contractor says, why don't we move them to the north, to the south, and to the east, isolate that, everybody will have water, and then we could temporarily run a jumper line from the house next door to that house, so that house would be in service at all times. Done deal, do it. Obviously, it always costs more money, a little change order here and there, but we did do a change order. So the bottom right-hand corner, they're tying the existing water service back in to the new location of the water main. So basically, they got free water for about 3 weeks, yes. I didn't want to say that too loud with Tom here, but here's some concrete work that we did. We removed all that concrete down there in front of the old building there. We put some square returns in the top corner. They're called square returns. Originally, you just put a 2-foot pan around there. This turned out a lot better. This is the way it should be done. So I changed that. Cost us $3,000, but then again, we were still under budget. We were in budget, so all went well. We went ahead and plans originally showed, this is a valley pan, a 6-foot valley pan. Plans originally showed a 5-foot type 5 curb that you would drive over. Obviously, we had a bust in the survey on the plans. You know what? We're not going to redesign it. We fit stuff. So instead of putting the curb and gutter in, I went with a valley pan, and it worked perfect. You can see it right there. There's no bump, no lip, no nothing to get to the parking lot of the new building there, or the existing building there. It turned out excellent. I'm very, very pleased with it. Best part is now we got ADA access to the park. We have a park that we can actually get somebody in a wheelchair to. So we actually got ADA access to the park. We improved the drainage, and the best part is we got rid of that darn bump that everybody was dragging on. So, any questions?
Questions from the board?
No question, just a comment. Everything you showed us, everything you talked about, shows just adaptability, ingenuity, you know, tremendously impressive. And I just one individual want you to know.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed with what you all did and the way you did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Additional questions, comments? All right.
All right.
Just Tom, just on a personal note, I've had actually 2 individuals approach me just recently and comment on how well you and by name and your team have done. They've just been extremely impressed by your professionalism and the quality that you do. And I just wanted to feed that back to you.
I appreciate that, and I give the town all, everything that I have. And and I know it's budget time and it's all tough and it's ugly this time of the year, but remember, we're all professionals and we try to do the best that we can for the town.
Thank you so much, and your efforts have not gone unnoticed.
Appreciate that.
You bet. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Manning.
Okay, instead of a project that's complete, we'll be talking about one that's in the planning stages. And you've seen this project a couple different forms before. First of all, with the entities that I will refer to, maybe in the PowerPoint, TMD's Tri-View Metropolitan District, MDEA, Mountain View Electric Association. We have a couple representatives here from that organization. Of course, the town is a town of Monument. This, again, you have, if you recall, seen before. The Tri-View well site is in the center of two other parcels that are noted there. MDEA electric substation and self-storage, which is now complete except for landscaping. And of course, north of there, we have the developing corridor along Jackson Creek Parkway with the senior living. This is a more recent aerial that shows the self-storage. You can see the fairly well-groomed electric substation area, and just to the north, the Tri-View well site. This is maybe a more familiar view driving down Jackson Creek Parkway of a portion of the substation and the well site as well. So basically this is a landscaping project, landscaping including a screening wall. The original approval of the substation was in 2013. In 2014, we changed the landscape code, so the original approval had a lot of turf grass, whereas the modified approval, which occurred in 2017, you reviewed that, changed that to native grasses, as well as a couple other adjustments. Another impact was the new well drilled on the Tri-View site. So what happened is during that process, we started a discussion of what we could do to work the two projects together and how we might be able to get a better project out of what had already been approved and committed to by MDEA for landscaping and screening. So this kind of shows you where you may recall the well site that impacted the previously approved plan. All that landscaping on the north side, north is up, is an easement on the Tri-View property. And so the well site, when it went in, is considered a conflict with that in terms of potential irrigation and or other things you might find in grass and they grow. So again, this was approved earlier this year, and it still required the wall along that north side as well as 6 feet of landscaping. So we've been working with both groups, MDEA for some time, and of course Tri-View recently had a change in management, and we've talked to Mr. McGrady about this as well. So what this is composed of is eliminating the screening wall and landscaping on the north side of the MDEA site. Eliminate that easement for Tri-View on that site so that the well is better protected, and provide a screening wall around both the MDEA and the Tri-View sites. So what this shows is the red dashed line is the wall portion that is approved currently that would be eliminated off of the MDEA site. The orange then shows the proposed wall that would be built around both sites. So there's a few roles that we see here. Again, MDEA would construct a screening wall around only the west, south, and a portion of the east, as I just showed you. This is in landscape according to the amended plan. There's also some electric boxes at the Tri-View site that need to be raised for some grading purposes. And the last thing is, to set aside some funds that are saved for that deleted wall section. Excuse me. Move too quick on the trigger here. The Tri-View site needs to be graded in the northwest corner to achieve positive drainage, not have a pond there. So that's something we're looking for them to do. Raise the fire hydrant in that location and remove part of their chain link fence to prepare for the placement of the new screening wall. And that would be on our west and north property lines. The town would amend the plan for the electric substation, facilitate agreements between the parties, and hold the MDEA funds for Tri-View use. This is that corner of the Tri-View site. That fire hydrant is in a low spot. That part of the land needs to come up a foot to 2 feet to get drainage off of Tri-View site and out of this little hole you see here. this is attempted to illustrate the height of walls, because one of the things that we discussed within DEA is to lower their originally approved 8-foot wall to a 6-foot wall. So what this demonstrates between the orange and the yellow is the difference of what would be blocked. Obviously, there's a lot of the electrical elements that are above that, even with an 8-foot wall. So this was to incentivize their participation in this process, and hopefully you all can see that we'll still have some decent buffering there. Okay, the one on the left is a simulation of what has been approved in the past, what was going to be constructed. And it turns out that that type of construction is difficult. It requires those columns to be buried fairly deep into the ground, and there's a lot of underground stuff going on around there. And on the right then is what we're working towards now, which is a split block, different colored wall, which will go around all of the sides. I might mention the original approval in 2013 did not require the wall on the left to go around the entire site. There were still going to be exposed regular concrete black walls as a part of that perimeter. This just shows the self-storage, and you can see the similarity in what's proposed in terms of aesthetic in this wall, as well as the existing self-storage. That's where we're at. We just have to finalize some agreements and get some things done. I just want to let you know where we're at and see whether you have any questions or comments.
All right. Questions from the board?
Was the 6-foot wall versus 8-foot wall proposed for just saving money?
It will do that. It also saves on the foundation type and you know, that engineering aspect of it. The wall actually, because of the terrain, was not going to be, and may still be in some areas over 6 feet, but was not going to be 8 everywhere because of the way the slope of the land was. It was going to transition from 8 to 6.
Okay.
If I have that right, Mr. Button.
What is the ETA on completion once this moves forward?
I would hope we do this as soon as just plant season. Is that your plan?
As soon as possible. I want to get it done.
And maybe doing some of the wall sooner.
Excellent.
Is the hang-up Trogy at this point?
Not really. I presented this both to the board, but that was prior to the change in the director.
Mm-hmm.
And then I presented it to Mr. McGrady, the new manager, and he seemed favorable towards that. We talked about they would have to encumber some costs. When I showed you that perimeter wall, the part that would go around the driving side would be paid for by the set-aside funds from the LDA savings.
Right.
So we got a little incentive there for it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate your help. Mr. Lowe, budget and compensation discussions.
Maybe the first time I've actually had to use this.
Well, I hope you're feeling better. I know you've been under the weather, so stay over there.
Slow to recover, yes. I'll stay over there. As part of this budget season went on, we did, past boards have been fine with professional staff making some recommendations and maybe making some amendations here and there. But this budget season, it seemed that was not something, there was too little involvement that this board wanted to have in terms of setting the compensation for well, at least one class of employees in the town. So we do have several committees that are established by ordinance. And they just had fallen into disrepair. Nobody used them. So, in my opinion, it was the best way so that many members of this board expressed dissatisfaction with being presented with a certain number at a certain time and too late in the process. And so, one of my recommendations was, well, why don't you relive one of these budget and compensation committees and and let that group start that discussion far before it needs to be passed, and the fall and into the winter. So all this is opportunity for you all to find 2 representatives that would sit on that budget committee, and then we'd have them ready to go. And in fact, I anticipate putting them to work probably March, April, May, so they're ready to go for the next budget season. So that's all this budget item is. There's no recommendation from staff. You can do it however you all want to do it. I learned my lesson. You guys just tell me how exactly you want to do it. And let me know. Thank you.
Are you looking for input now, or is this just an informational item?
You all had discussed that was something you were interested in, and so I figured while we had discussed it during the budget process, before we lost it into the next budget, I thought it was maybe appropriate for you all to discuss. You don't necessarily have to name 2 members. You just tell us that that's the direction you want to go. And unfortunately, in these meetings, having a couple people volunteer is probably, we probably would like something more formal than that. And at this point, you probably want to wait until April in case you appoint somebody who's either not running again or is not reseated. So it's fine with us. We give us 2 people now, or give us 2 people later. That's all that we'd like to do. And then we'd like to have a meeting with those 2 members, probably I would assume in March.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody who would like to sit on that committee from this board?
I'd be interested.
I'd be interested as well, but unless there's someone else who would like to do that?
Are we going to have 2 committees, or is it going to be an all-encompassing committee?
To me, the compensation is a subset of the budget.
Okay.
I don't think that we need to have what happened this year ever again, hopefully. So what I prefer is that you have just 2 budget, and then if the 2 board members that were assigned to that budget, we'd have maybe separate meetings to them to discuss the salary recommendations that staff might give you.
Good.
So, but rather than having a subcommittee or another committee for the, I think that it can be handled within the context of a budget committee. So, but if the will of the board is you want a separate group or a working group, whatever, we're open to any input you want to do it. I just think that the most efficient way would just be have 2 members that can be a conduit of information to the staff and the board, and then you're not getting just your information when you're voting on, say, a budget, and you'd have a sequential discussion about that, and we could do it that way. That's just my recommendation, but again, we'll do whatever y'all have to do.
I think some of the question roots from, are we going to also have a facilities committee in working on the public works needs?
Yes, Trustee Wilson, we did talk about that, and I still think that that's a good idea.
Okay.
But that's why it's nice to have, and if we could, have 2 different members on that committee, just so you have good movement, and with the amount of public investment that we're looking at asking for, I think that's a great way to do it.
I just want to make sure that's still the way we're thinking, is 2 separate committees.
Yes.
And
You did
2 separate members.
They say a camel is a horse designed by committee. That's the standard. So I don't think we need to have too many committees, but certainly the staff would love to have input from the board earlier in the process, so we don't bring you something that you all are completely surprised by, or it's not something that you want. So So I think with just those two committees, and I know we have a couple ordinances that Alicia has been looking at, I'd prefer that we remove those by ordinance, establish that the fact that you all can have some committees by resolution,
Yes.
have those couple of resolution, have those couple of committees at least the first time out, and we'll see how that works. And then you guys obviously can add or subtract or do whatever you like.
Ms. Corley, you had some comments? Okay,
You said exactly what I wanted to say. I think
Excellent.
y'all should do it by resolution instead of having an ordinance.
okay.
So do we need to have an ordinance drafted in order to delete those existing communities prior to?
Correct. So I started that. I just need authorization to do it, and then I guess draft the resolutions for these two committees.
Great, can we get that on the next?
Yeah, seeing heads nod, so sure, go ahead with that.
Awesome.
All right. Are we, any further input? Okay. Mr. Tharnish, Resolution 04-2018, approving a fee in lieu of water rights.
Good evening, trustees. The resolution you have in front of you at this time is a resolution approving a fee in lieu of water rights. And I'll give you a little bit of the background. I know what's on the memorandum you have in the package. What's driving this is we had a applicant who came to us or to the planning department for a development application. And once the research was done on the water underneath the land, a couple of the aquifers that sometimes people rely upon to establish how much water is underneath were resolved, shouldn't say resolved, but they were taken up by a previous water court case that we had quite a few years ago. So that left them with two aquifers of water that could be used to supply the water for this development. Now, as it turns out, a good high 90 percentile range. Most developments they come in with enough water underneath their property so that the town's not in a position where we have to supply them water to cover the development of the property. Now, it's important that you don't get confused between a previous resolution that I brought to you a month or two ago that concerned the term called not non-tributary. That has to do with the classification of the water that's underneath the land. This water here is not related to that case. This is a case of they needed 2 acre-feet of water for this development, and the aquifer study showed they had like 0.7 something, I can't remember the exact number. So they're about 1.2 roughly acre-feet short. The way the ordinances are set up right now, it's at the board's discretion whether you would accept a fee in lieu of this developer going out and acquiring water rights to bring to the town, renewable type water rights. Being that this is such a small amount, we decided to bring this to you so that we could establish a fee so if any future developments come along and they are what I call water short, there will be a fee established that could be an option for them. We could ask them that it's always better for the town if they could come with water rights that we could use. But nowadays, the water rights that are available are usually quite a distance away, and that gets into the whole renewable water question that's before us in the coming future. So this ordinance here, resolution, is to establish that fee. We did roughly 5 different water districts in the area around here, and researched what they typically charge for that, and it ranges from we don't charge anything because we like development and we just absorb the cost, to our highest one is roughly $20,000 per acre foot. So I chose a price roughly in the middle of $10,000 per acre foot. And again, this would be applied towards developers that come in that are water short. In other words, the water underneath their land is 100 acre feet, and they need 110 to complete their project. They may be 10 acre feet short, the $10,000 fee would apply as an option. But right now, it just says at the board's discretion, the board would have to set the fee. So this puts some dollars to it so that when it comes up again, we don't have to come back and have you set a different fee for all these different developments. That's the resolution in front of you now, and the staff's going to recommend that we approve this fee. If you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Questions from the board?
Would we, sorry.
Go ahead.
Would this, could this be used against us in the sense that somebody wanted to keep their water rights and pay the fee instead?
No, normally that doesn't occur. The reason why is they're required to turn over, well, if there's an annexation, they have to turn over the water rights to us. But we have a water consultant that determines the available water underneath the property based on hydrological mapping.
Okay.
Once that's determined, the board, in the way the ordinance is currently written, you can either accept a fee in lieu of water rights, or you can tell them to bring water rights to us, in which case you don't have to charge them a fee.
Okay. But
There's always a value to the rights.
Right, I'm just making sure that they can't say, well, we have plenty of water rights, we just don't want to turn them over to you.
It's up to the board to determine whether to accept those rights or not.
Okay.
How volatile are the prices? I mean, I realize you looked at a midpoint, but I mean, do they move up frequently? Do they move down? I mean,
I don't believe they've changed a lot, at least from my recollection. They're still in the ballpark. If you're looking at rights down in the Fountain Creek area, around that area, they're typically 19,000 per acre foot. Some rights are out there that are in the $12,000 range. Some are as low as 9 to 10, but a lot of times those rights are not very enviable. They're hard to use because they might be classified as agricultural water versus municipal use. So it kind of varies depending where it's located.
and so what you would do, assuming we pass this and accept what you're recommending, you would periodically sort of check things,
Yes.
just evaluate and make sure that what it is we're charging in lieu of water.
If we feel that the price has gone up and we need to increase that,
Yeah.
we would come back by resolution to do that.
Super. Okay, thank you.
So it sounds like what you're saying is we're kind of starting on the low end. You said the lower range is 9 to 10,000.
Well, we're kind of starting what I would call in the middle, because there are some that don't charge a fee at all.
Oh, okay.
If your water's short, they just provide the water and call it good, because a lot of times if development comes in and it's commercial related, the Bethesda assisted living facility was an example. They were water short when it came in. And back then, the existing planning director at the time had wrote a letter to the board saying that it was a much needed service for this town, and provided a resolution that the board approved for $1 an acre foot. But again, most of these cases you're not talking a large quantity of water. They're usually velvets that come in and they're within a few acre feet of not being able to meet our requirements.
If I could just add a brief point to that. We always evaluate each deal on a case-by-case basis. So if based on their accessibility to water versus our ability to provide it. So let us say that we had an extensive amount of pipe that we were going to have to put in. Obviously, that would be something we would charge for that. Tom and I worked pretty hard with Bruce and Bob Crossa to establish a number that we felt was market competitive, but also friendly to development. So there's a balance always in that deal. And we will always bring that to you if we think that, say, the developer comes to us. Let's not even talk about what's this particular development. Let's say the developer brought something to us that we thought we didn't want to pay enough. We'd be coming back to you saying, no, you need to charge them more. So, but it does allow us the flexibility of staff, and they come in, set a price, and get a deal moving down the thing without coming back to you every minute to say how much this drop is going to cost and how much this drop's going to cost. So that's, I think Tom and I are the last people in the world when we're sitting out there saying that we left you $1 short. So we'll continue to monitor that. And that's why we're not giving you a policy that says this is how much we pay per acre foot. It's evaluated on a development by development basis, and we give you what we think is the best price.
So Tom, just a question, with this resolution again, and when I hear the town manager saying this is a guideline, it's not, if a developer comes in, this is absolute, it is a case-by-case basis of their current situation?
This fee would establish basically a baseline for those developments that come in that are close, that are slightly water short. If the development comes in and is 20, 30 acre feet short, then we'd have to reevaluate and see is that in the best interest based on what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
So we don't lose any negotiating power, we don't put ourselves in a potentially bad situation with this.
No, I don't believe so. Everything's handled on a case by case, depending on the quantity of water
That we have the ability to adjudicate on our end.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Additional questions? All right, hearing none. Do we have a motion for this resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 04-2018, a resolution approving a fee in lieu of water rights.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Hogan, would you take roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Medlicott?
Yes.
Mayor Kaiser?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Elliott?
Yes.
Trustee Bornstein?
Yes. That motion passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is public comments for things that are not on the agenda per Municipal Code 2.04.030 J2B. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone? Please, Ms. Hayes, would you come forward? How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Terry Hayes, Tri Lakes Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Corporation, and Visitor Center. So we're to say that faster. I just have a few. I wanted to have a few things I wanted to bring up. January 31st is our annual State of the Region, which is where we are going to have both of our local county commissioners up here, County Commissioner Vanderwerth and Daryl Glenn. And then we have also invited Mayor Kaiser. I haven't heard if he's in town yet, but we have invited him to speak.
I will be in Asia that day.
So then I need you guys to come up with someone else to speak on behalf of Town of Monument, and then we will be inviting the mayor or one of their trustees to speak also for the town of Palmer Lake. I will get to say a few words, and what we talk about is this community last year, how things went, what we're looking forward to this year. As you know, a lot of growth is going on. And so we'll be talking about what we're going to be doing in 2018 to help educate about it, which I've talked about further, and kind of help guide what the growth is going to be here. So I'm just here to highly encourage everyone to attend. It will run 11:30 to 1:30, and it's at the Great Wolf Lodge again. We had it there last year. It's just you guys had a great turnout last year for us, so I'd appreciate that again. And if you have any questions, let me know. And then also lastly, on January 10th, our own Chief Shirk is going to be teaching our second active shooters class. So this is great for everybody. This is not necessarily just for shop owners or business owners afraid of someone coming in, but this is, all of us are at risk at any business or any office that we walk into. So I think this information is good for everybody to know. So if you are around at 10 o'clock on January 10th, come on down and listen to Chief Shirk talk.
Great.
Thank you.
I take it this isn't a how-to class.
No.
Okay, good.
It's
good.
maybe a how to duck.
There you go. Okay. Very good. Excellent. Anybody else from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good.
Tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet.
My name is Melinda Reichel.
Hi.
And I live at 17875 New London Road. And I just want to tell you about a local community group that we've started in the Tri Lakes area. We started in September. We started as through Family of Christ Lutheran Church, and we call it Random Acts of Kindness. So once a month, we go out into the community. It's on the second Saturday of the month, and we just do random things. The first month was in October. We stood in front of King Soopers with signs and raised about 500 pounds of food for Tri Lakes Cares. The next month, we randomly went to people's homes and raked leaves and clean their gutters. Last month, we partnered with Chief back there. We did Santa on Patrol, collected toys. We stood in front of Town Hall with our signs and collected lots of toys. I think we did pretty good.
Wonderful, thank you.
And we went to Bethesda Gardens and made Christmas cards with the seniors. It was lots of fun. So the reason I'm talking to you is we're here, we're unskilled labor, but we're free. And if you ever have any needs, if you can think of anything that you need in the community, we started with 5 groups or 5 families from Family of Christ, and the community found out about our group. We now have 90 families involved in this, and we're growing. So, any questions for me?
You communicate what you're doing on Nextdoor?
I do, yeah. So I have this, I don't know if it's just how to reach me, if you
Okay.
ever think of anything. So
Sure.
who should I give this to?
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Let me write down there.
All right,
Supposed
thank
to
you.
write my name.
Actually, write down Laura as your first volunteer.
Family 91. Gordon, it's good to see you here this evening.
Thank you, sir.
He's my better half.
Write that down.
Tell me it's shorter, sir. It's on.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Chief, that was an excellent segue into Santa on Patrol. Do you have any quick comments?
May I sit here?
You can sit there.
We had
Start the timer, please.
We started off with Shop at the Top on that Friday, and we had 16 children that we were able to assist throughout the Colorado Springs, Tri-Lakes area. These were kids that were nominated by families and friends and pastors, teachers, and we did a great job. We had a number of cops out there and explorers, and they really helped these families. Next day we had Santa on Patrol. We had probably, I don't know, I didn't even count, 20, 30, 40 vehicles involved in it. It stretched for about a half mile, police cars, fire engines, citizens, and we had hundreds of kids that we were able to assist. It was really a special event. So it seems to grow every year. We have now quite a large fund that I've been working with Pam and our town manager on how to manage this fund to assist with these families and children throughout the year.
Understand you've been able to provide assistance to like Fountain and other communities as well?
This year we provided assistance to Elizabeth. In the past it's Fountain, Elizabeth, Woodland Park, Manitou, Rama, Calhoun, lots of different communities, and that may grow.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Continue on with the public. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to come on? Sir.
Evening, how is everybody?
Good.
Good. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Monty Kuntz. I live at 4510 Turner Road. I'm an employee of the town for 4 years, lived here for 26. Love this town. I'm here to address the discriminatory decisions seem to be made by the board. Watching how this board operates troubles me. The decision to give the PD a large raise that was voted in on a special budget committee on a Saturday due to the dangerous nature of their job, with no consideration to other departments that work right beside them doing an equally dangerous job, i.e., last week I was addressing the issue we talked about of the toilet over at the town hall, or not town hall, at Public Works. So I had to dig up the bottom side of the building, about 5 foot underneath the building, 12 by 12 hole. Get down inside of there, there's 440 cables, 440 volts, side by side. There's tree roots growing up beneath them, pushing them up out of the ground. 2-inch high pressure gas main. All kinds of feces from the toilet leaking down into that puddle, into that hole. One drop of that in your eye, you get E. coli. That was last week's job. This week's job, or the week before, last week's job, I had to go up on top of the roof of this building, this very building, and in the hallway there's a ladder in there that is straight up and down, 22 feet tall. As I'm climbing to the top of the roof, I go to step off of the ladder, I step onto a patch of ice, slip forward, and fall onto the top of the roof. Thank goodness I fell on the top of the roof and not back down 22 feet onto concrete in the hole. So that point being made, what we do is very dangerous. I think you guys understand where I'm coming from. This is only one of the many, many jobs that we do on a daily basis. My point is, the discriminatory nature of your decision to award a large pay raise to one department on a special vote and to address the other department raise by setting up a committee to investigate what our wages should be seems discriminatory. Common HR states that consistent pay practice between departments. What also troubles me is that you have a town manager, Chris. This guy is extremely educated. He has managed much larger towns with great success, not to mention he has a law degree. You also have a director, Tom, of Public Works, who is also highly educated and is a vast wealth of knowledge available at any time. You also have a town attorney, Alicia, that is highly educated, obviously has a law degree, but instead of working with these people as a team, it seems to me that much of the time you go rogue and ignore input from them when all they care about is the betterment of the town. I would also like to address the issue of the cost increase of the health insurance the town provides. An increase of more than 20%. Compare that to this year's wage increase of the employees of 3% that you guys approved. I'm a single income family supporting 3 people. One of the prerequisites of working for this Public Works Department is to possess a CDL license, and in the open market, entry-level wages at a CDL license starts at $58,000 with benefits. We don't make anything near that. Like I mentioned last week, I'm fluent in 30 fields. Most of the fields are close to that amount of money. Almost there. Our wages are not an issue of what the other towns make. We are at poverty level. This is an issue of fair wage. The cost of living in this town is no different than the cost of living in Denver. It is very high. The amount of money that the town pays key employees is so low that there's no possibility to ever get ahead. There's no possibility to put money into a retirement fund. This issue needs to be addressed sooner rather than later without discrimination prior to the town losing key employees. That's what I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very well said, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the town who would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Good New Year, sir.
I'm Will Koger with Forrester & Associates, and I first had the pleasure of working for the town starting about 10 years ago when I was with another firm. I was with the same firm as Tom Martinez, actually. And when I opened the Forrester office coming up on 6 years ago, the town was one of our first clients, and we so much appreciate you guys. I just wanted to note that we've reached a milestone in that today we've opened a second Colorado office down in the Briargate area, about 10 or 15 minutes down the road. And we very much value our relationship with the town. As has been discussed, the professionalism of your staff is excellent, and we certainly appreciate the town very much. So, thank you.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. Anyone else from the town wishing to speak? All right, hearing none, we will close the public comments section and bring it back to the board for board authorization items. Is there anything from the board in addition to Ms. Corley's request that we want to bring forward in the future? All right, hearing none, we will move on to our town manager's report. Mr. Lowe.
I don't have anything to add.
All right, then we will move on to our Board of Trustee comments. Any comments from the board?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You know, I guess I've listened now twice to concerns expressed about the way in which budget decisions were made. It seems to me that the town manager recommended to us what it is he wanted done with the budget that he had available to him. I would hope that your directors are basically advising you of the kind of concerns that we've listened to twice here. And I don't consider the decisions I make discriminatory. If you make a decision based upon a recommendation, or you make a decision based upon what you view to be as an important need, and the town manager endorses that, that's not discriminatory. That is, in fact, part of what we're supposed to be doing. So I guess I would like a better understanding of how it is you as the town manager ensure that people are able to understand how you're proposing to us what to do with limited dollars available. And I realize your voice is bad, so we won't talk about it right now. The bottom line is that
My
bothers
voice
me.
is fine, I didn't hear a question.
It wasn't a question, I'm asking about the process.
Oh,
Do
so
you
you'd
have a
like
process?
You'd like a comment?
What do you mean as a comment? I'm
Is
asking
there a
you, do you have a
question that you would like
process,
to
do
ask
you have
about
a
the budget
process to tell your people that if we've got concerns, if we've got things like a toilet that can't be fixed, we're gonna work it? Do you not talk to your directors? Is there not
No,
dialogue?
Never talked to him.
Well, okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that great response. That's all I've got.
Any other comments from the board? All right, hearing none, we will close board comments and look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This meeting